Hello everyone, Luke Smith here. It's a Thursday today, and you might be wondering why I'm going back to the Resident Evil files. I've already read them all, but I haven't. I skipped over the Resident Evil 5 library files. The reason why is they would take me a long time to do in each video. So I decided to return to do one Resident Evil 5 library file a week. There's 12 of them, so it'll only take me like 12 Thursdays. I'm going to do them on a Thursday. So that should be kind of enough until the end of the year, because these are long files. So I'm just going to do these ones. I'm just going to title this next series of file readings reading Resident Evil 5 library files, and then I'll just put the name of the file I'm reading. So first things first, the history of Resident Evil. Now bear in mind, this is not a complete history, not updated. This goes from the 1960s to Resident Evil 5 time, 2009 I believe. So 1960s, engineer Michael Warren begins the electrification of Raccoon City. The fifth head of the Ashford family, Edward Ashford, begins his research into what would later become known as the progenitor virus. 1962. Oswald E. Spencer enlists architect George Trevor to design and construct a reclusive mansion on the outskirts of Raccoon City. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure it's recording correctly. 1966, December. Oswald E. Spencer, James Marcus, and Edward Ashford officially establish the progenitor virus, which reconstructs a living organism's DNA. So it looks like they started making it in the early 60s using the progenitor flower from Resident Evil 5. Obviously, that's the idea. 1967, November. The construction of the mansion and lab facilities in the Arklay Mountains are completed. So, it took them about 5 years to do it, like 4 or 5 years. It's pretty quick for a mansion like that. Jessica and Lisa Trevor are injected with a variant of the progenitor virus. The virus fails to establish itself in Jessica, and she is substantially disposed of. The virus shows promise in Lisa, and as a result, she is placed under close observation. George Trevor is chosen to be a test subject. However, due to his intimate knowledge of the mansion's facility, he is disposed of instead. 1968. Construction of Raccoon City's public transport trolleys begins in Europe and are quickly put to use within the city. How do they get the tram cars from Europe to America? I think on boat, isn't it? It's bound to be on boat. It's the 60s after all. Spencer founded the pharmaceutical company Umbrella with Marcus and Edward Ashford. The company is established to mark their biological research. In July of that year, Edward Ashford contracts the progenitor virus and dies. He just fucking dies. His son, Alexander Ashford, succeeds him as head of the Ashford family. In August, the Umbrella training facility is established in the Arklay Mountains, with Marcus appointed as director. 1969, February. Alexander Ashford begins to design a facility in Antarctica. He secretly makes plans to build an underground laboratory for the purpose of the Code Veronica project. November. Umbrella's Antarctic base and research facilities are completed. Bloody hell, like, only takes a few months for them to make umbrella facilities back in them days. In 1971, the Code Veronica project is successful. The twins Alfred and Alexia Ashford are born. Now you got to remember, 1971 is a code that you use in the near the residence of Resident Evil Code Veronica. There's actually a code that you can use. 1977, Albert Wesker and William Birkin joins the training facility as prospective managers. 1978, January, Marcus successfully develops the T-virus. So the T-virus is... I thought the T-virus was like made in the early 90s, but that must have been the G-virus. July. The closure of the training facility is finalised. Wesker and Birkin transfer their T-virus research to the Arclay Research Facility. Marcus continues his own research in the closed-down training facility. 1981, July. Although only 10 years old, Alexia Ashford graduates at the top of her class from a prestigious university. Birkin begins to view Alexia as a rival. 1982. Alexia injects her father, Alexandra, with the T. Veronica virus, but the experiments end in failure. 1983, December. Wesker researches secondary exposure to the T virus. He begins to have reservations about Spencer's plans. Alexia injects herself with the T. Veronica virus and enters a 15-year cryogenic sleep to maintain the secrecy of the plan. It is reported that she died of accidental exposure to the virus. 1987. Michael Warren becomes the mayor of Raccoon City. 1988. Wesker, under the orders from Spencer, assassinates Marcus. Under Birkin's guidance, the T-virus program begins development of the BOW Tyrant. Umbrella begins work on the Nemesis project as its sixth European research facility. 1991. Umbrella begins construction of an expansive underground laboratory beneath Raccoon City. Spencer approves Birkin's G-virus project and work begins on it. Wesker is transferred to the information department. 1992. Umbrella contributes funds for the refurbishment of City Hall and the building of the General Hospital. A statue of Michael Warren is erected at City Hall. 1993. Raccoon City Chief Police Brian Irons begins conducting negotiations with Umbrella. Birkin transfers to the underground lab in Raccoon City. Clansdale meetings with Irons begins. Alfred Ashford graduates from a university in England and becomes director of the Antarctic base. He rises up the ranks and eventually becomes an executive of Umbrella, and then the director of Rockfort Island. And in December, a training facility for anti-BOW squad members is completed. 1994, John from the Chicago lab takes over for Birkin at the Arclay Research Facility. Alfred builds a private mansion and prison on Rockfort Island. 1996, Raccoon City Police Department STARS team is founded with Wesker as its captain. Hunk, later of the Umbrella Special Forces, undergoes combat training on Rockfort Island. 1998. May, a mysterious clone of Marcus appears at the Umbrella training facility. There is a large-scale viral leak at the Arclay mansion. The research lab there is destroyed. Cerberus claims its first victim, a 20-year-old woman whose body was found dissembled, decapitated, disseminated. That it was found in a bit of a state. June. Cerberus sightings are reported in a local Raccoon City magazine. July. 2 groups are sent to investigate the training facility. The first one is wiped out by BOWs located on its premises. There is an increase in reports of accidents and missing persons in the Arcalay Mountains. The city sends in Star's Bravo team to investigate. Bloody hell, where I lost where I was. There we are. Bravo team's helicopter experiences engine trouble for unknown reasons. We're getting into Resident Evil 0 now. And is forced to put down in the Arcalay Mountains. Bravo team takes the Ecliptic Express to investigate the training facility, which is later destroyed. Alpha team is sent out to search for Bravo team when communication is lost. The occurrence of the mansion incident. Bravo team leader Enrico Martini learns Vesca's true identity. Vesca murders Enrico. Ravaged by the virus, the mansion and the lab are destroyed. 4 members of the Alpha team and 1 member of Bravo team escape the catastrophe. Survivors: Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, Brad Vickers, and Rebecca Chambers. Vesca escapes the Arclay research facility before it is destroyed. In August, whoa, fucking hell, mouse please. In August, former Stars member Chris Redfield learns of the G virus and heads to Europe to investigate Umbrella. I would still love to see a game where you play as Chris in that scenario. That would be good. I think it's a part of a comic book though, which fills in the gaps. Shame it's not a game or a series on TV, like an anime or something. That would be cool. September. The virus spreads throughout Raccoon City via infected mice. The city is declared a biohazard as incidents of cannibalism continue to rise. Birkin completes work on the G virus. A horde of zombies attacks the city's police station. The police station is destroyed and Chief Irons descends into mania. Warren escapes the city but leaves his daughter behind. UBCS, Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, arrives in the city to begin rescue operations. Rookie police officer Leon S. Kennedy, obviously we're getting into the Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3 territory here, arrives in Raccoon City at the same time as Claire Redfield. Umbrella deploys the BOW Nemesis T-types into the city, and it begins to hunt for former Stars member Jill Valentine. And Brad Vickers, because he was the other Stars member in the city at the time. Umbrella deploys mass-produced tyrants into the city. Leon and Claire escape the city with William and Annette Birkin's daughter, Sherry. With the arrival of the US military, the city is placed under martial law. UBCS survivors are exploited by Umbrella's official observer of the situation, Nikolai Genoviov, and they all die off one by one. The hospital is destroyed. Ada Wong and Hunk each acquire samples of the G virus. The underground lab in Raccoon City is destroyed. In October, the US government decides to eliminate the virus threat by destroying Raccoon City with a missile strike. They kind of retconned it a little bit in the remakes, but it's still the same sort of thing. In December, Jill Valentine escapes by then with Carlos. In December, Claire infiltrates the Paris laboratory only to be captured and imprisoned on Rockford Island. Wesker attacks the island with his own private force and releases a T-virus on the island. Claire escapes from the prison and sends an email to Leon asking for help. Her location is made known to Chris. Gil escapes Raccoon City and goes to Chris's apartment, but he has already left for Rockford Island. Well, this is in December, so she escaped Raccoon City on the 1st of October, so I don't know what that's doing there. Alfred Ashford escapes the island. Chris arrives at Rockford Island and finds Wesker. Alexia Ashford wakes up from her cryogenic sleep at the Antarctic base. Alfred dies shortly after. Claire and Chris are reunited at the Antarctic base, and together they defeat Alexia. They escape before the base is destroyed. Have you noticed they never mentioned Steve Burnside there? He was an important character in that game, by the way. It's like they do not mention him once in this. 2002, another 4 years since the Raccoon City incident. Jack Krauser fakes his own death and joins Vesca's secret organization. 2003, February. Jill and Chris take part in the mission to destroy the Umbrella that research facility in Russia. They were successful in destroying a new BOW known as Talos. 2004. The US President's daughter, Ashley Graham, is kidnapped by the religious group known as the Los Illuminados. The actual kidnapping was carried out by Krauser. Leon Kennedy was scheduled to join Ashley's secret service detail, but was ordered to find her instead. Leon Kennedy was injected by the Las Plagas parasite by the Los Illuminados. After that, he and Ashley, who were also infected with the same parasite, take shelter in a church. After escaping the village, Leon and Ashley are forced to seek refuge in an old castle, but Ashley is once again apprehended. This time she is taken to an isolated island by Krauser under the orders of Ramon Salazar, the 8th head of the Salazar family. Leon confronts Salazar and defeats him. Leon heads to the island to find Ashley. It is there, and it is there where he defeats both Jack Krauser and Osman Sadler, the leader of the Los Illuminados cult. Leon and Ashley use the facility on the island to remove the parasites. Ada steals the Los Plagas parasite sample from Leon, and Leon and Ashley escape from the island by jet ski, and then that will lead to Resident Evil 5. Now, what I will say is all these files are basically unlocked by completing chapters in the game, or doing specific things in the game, and this history of Resident Evil is seen part by part in the loading screens of the game. So yeah, that was it for this history video. I will read a full history of Resident Evil, like a proper updated history one. However, I want to wait until Resident Evil Requiem comes out, because I want to do the files of that once it comes out and I played it and beat everything in it. And when the history is updated for the probably final time. So yeah, there will be an update to the history of Resident Evil. But for now, this has been it. The next video on this series will be next Thursday, and I'll see you guys then.